Hey, Coach. First, how was your summer?
Nice segue, huh?
No, we gonna get back to it. I'm just being polite. I haven't seen you since
Had a
Vegas.
really good summer. Just a lot of family time, a lot of reflection. But it was longer than I wanted, and that bothered me from a professional standpoint. You try to get away from it, but you're always thinking about why my summer was so long and why am I in this place and that place and why am I cutting down trees in Texas when I should be practicing, that kind of thing. But it was a productive summer and an eventful summer. And I'm thankful for all of it because we've all grown and learned and had a chance to see life from different perspectives for sure. And it's just been one of those summers that, quite frankly, you'll never forget. So from that standpoint, it's been good, but also a summer to learn from.
Obviously, the Sarver findings came out, and we were sitting here last November, N-word and appropriate comments towards women. Now we know that was true in the findings. So when you put all that into perspective, how was your reaction to the findings, the fine, the suspension, and now with him selling the team?
A lot like James, there was a bit of shock. There was a moment where I was in disbelief when you see the bullet points, and then when you go through it, you start to think about how these things impacted people. How was it going to impact our team, the organization, the community, and then James and myself and Morgan had a ton of conversations about, how do we handle this, deal with this in a way that's productive, but also sympathetic towards those who have been affected by all of this. Just a number of emotions. And at the same time, thinking about my own kids. I have a white wife, my stepson is white, and I have 5 black children. And just thinking about them living in a world where these kinds of things still happen, that bothered me. So I'm no different than you all. There was a range of emotions and states of mind that I dealt with.
When you look at Chris and Draymond and LeBron and using their platform to speak on it, and then no sooner after that, Sarver decided to sell the team. How much do you think that them speaking out led to, or maybe even impacted, the narrative that led to Sarver going there?
It's hard to say. I can't speculate on that. But I do believe that these guys who have those kinds of platforms have a right to their opinion. They have a right to assess a certain situation the way that they want to. That's the beautiful part about our country and our sport. I think having been around Chris for so long, I know that he wants to be a voice for those who can't speak up for themselves. I don't know LeBron that way, and Draymond that way, but I've been around those guys a little bit. I don't know if I can't say if it had an impact or not. That's just not something I can assess.
And then just on Jay and being at this point right now, as someone that came here and made an impact on the team, someone that you trust, but clearly at a crossroads right now with him. Maybe just your thoughts on where the team is right now.
Yeah, no different than James. We ended the season not knowing that this was going to be the outcome, but I see it as an opportunity for us. Like James said, our guys have been in the gym because we've been off for so long, getting ready, not knowing that this outcome would be upon us. And we did have private conversations, and those things will remain private. Just because I want our guys to know that anytime something comes up, they know that they can be themselves and they're never going to hear it out in public, at least from me. That's how we've always operated, James and myself, from day one. We've had a number of issues that have come up. I mean, you're going to lead a team for 3 years and go through the bubble and COVID and playoff runs and playoff hurts, you're going to have some issues, but those things are going to always remain private. And we have a deep appreciation for our players, their families, and their friends. And we want them to know that they're always going to be safely guarded publicly whenever something comes up.
Hey, Monty. Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. Good to see you. When the Sarver report came out, you described your emotions, but how important was it for you as one of the leaders of the team to speak with the guys and have a conversation or multiple conversations about what was in the report?
I think we've always had the mindset to allow them to come to us, not force anything on them. I think our players respect me a little bit, and I know that if I say something a certain way, it could affect them. And so I'm careful with how I approach them, especially in situations like this. So we always left the door open for them to come to us, and we were in the gym a lot with our guys. I did have phone conversations with guys. Those things will remain private, but for me, it was validating their emotions and their feelings and always letting them know that whatever they felt, it was cool, because we come from different perspectives and worlds. You know, I grew up in Colonial Virginia. If you don't know what that's like, it'd be hard for me, or I don't have enough time to explain to you what that was like, being black in that environment. A lot of our guys have no idea what that was like. So for them to, or for me to think that they would feel the same way I felt, I think that's irresponsible and me subjecting my past onto them. So I tried my best to be a sounding board and a listener, which, you know, my family may not agree with, but that was my way of allowing them to get it off their chest, or at least talk about it. And then those organic conversations hopefully lead to something productive, because that's what we got to do. We got to be leaders in transition and be productive as we move forward.
With Jay, I know you've talked about this a lot with us the last 2 years, but with his future being unclear, can you just speak on how much over the last 2 years he helped guys like Mikal, Deandre,
Sure.
Cam, Devin just learn the little things and just getting to the point of a team and a winning team?
Yeah, he brought a number of intangibles to the team. I think all of our guys would speak in that way about him. At the same time, these things happen, you know, and you have to transition and move forward. I totally am behind James and how we are handling this. And again, all the stuff that went on behind the scenes will remain private. But I think all of our guys learned a ton from being around Jay.
Monty, good to see you. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked James. I know since you guys arrived in Phoenix, building culture has been really important to you. Just reading that report and being one of the leaders in that culture for this organization, what does that task kind of look like for you moving forward? And do you have anything that you would like to say to the people that were victimized? Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you can throw cliches and catchphrases on this one and be like, let's move forward. I think that's somewhat irresponsible. You know, I always talk about this being a get to and not a got to, not allowing anything to affect our gym. I don't think you can do that in this situation. But I do think if we continue to show a level of respect and love for one another, we can move forward the right way. And I think that will enhance our culture. I think it's going to bring us closer together. But I don't believe you can just throw some goofy phrase that I've come up with over the past 3 years and say, let's, bring it in and move forward. I don't think that's fair to the situation, and certainly not sensitive to the people that have been affected.
And then with DA, obviously, I know that there's been a lot of talk over the summer about the end of Game 7 and, signing the offer sheet with the Pacers. Just
Sure.
Your thoughts on him being back and being able to move forward.
I mean, I echo what James said. Like, there was never a conversation where we were going to let him go. When I forget where I was, on the road somewhere, and I knew that Indiana made an offer sheet, and James was like, we're matching right away. There was a sense of relief there because of what he's meant And the thing that people don't see is how much he's been in the gym and how much better he's gotten this summer. I think having all that stuff behind him has given him a sense of relief. I think when players know you want them around and value them, it gives them confidence. That doesn't mean you don't have, situations that come up. That's part of coaching and part of, being on a really good team with competitive players. So I agree with James. I echo what he just said. Like, there wasn't a scenario where we felt like he wasn't going to be around. He's just too good of a player, and he's a good dude. I mean, there's times where you bump heads on certain issues, but that doesn't define a person in totality. And I think sometimes that stuff just gets blown out of proportion, and rightfully so when you don't know all the facts.
James, Monty. Oh, y'all look alike, right? My bad. When you read the thing about the N-word coming from being a black man, coming from where you came from, and how did that take you? How did you feel about that? And also, as a man of faith, reading everything that you read, how were your emotions from that? And did you even consider, like, I don't know if this is the right place for me?
It's a lot to unpack. I probably will forget some of it. But in reference to that word, I don't like it. I never have, especially when I was younger and I learned what that word meant. I learned how demeaning it was towards humanity, not just black folks. And when I saw the report, I was not happy about it, quite frankly, disgusted. It's not a word you repeat anytime. And when you read the report and you read the bullet points and you see it over and over again in that way, it bothers you. At the same time, I know that there's a different generation, and young people that are 20, 30 years younger than I am that have a different perspective about that word. It's become a socially accepted word. I don't think that's something that we should bow down to. And when you run into situations like this, you realize why, because the word is demeaning in every facet. Did I ever think about leaving here? Was this place the right place for me? Not one time. Just not my nature, not my makeup, that when you have these kinds of challenges, you jump ship because it's a bit uncomfortable. I felt like it was something to embrace. Certainly a way to learn, a way to convey what you know to people that may have a different perspective. And I always try to take all of these things and take them back to my children and try to teach them to be open-minded in some areas, but to be somewhat staunch in their beliefs in others. And I think as it relates to respecting people, loving people, giving people a level of integrity, dignity for being human, that I think that's where you draw a hard line. And I tell my kids all the time, my ceiling is their floor. And as a leader and as a man of faith, I feel the same way about our team. And I think when you use words like that, you take away those platforms to help people because you demean them. And so I struggle with it like many of you have, no doubt about it. And you read it and, you process it. And for me, I prayed about it a ton, and I was just trying to figure out, like, how can I add value? When I came here to Phoenix, that was my number one goal, was to add value. And when you run into challenges like this, I have to go back to that. Like, how can I add value? And the one way I know how to add value is to love and serve people, no matter what their color, no matter where they come from, their gender, whatever. It's to love and serve them.
Monty, when you just look at last year when the report came out, the ESPN story, you guys kind of got in the bunker a little bit, like, hey, let's let's focus on the task at hand. Now that it's out, is that going to be more challenging to do? Because it's hitting guys, if it's hitting you a certain way, it's probably hitting the players the same. So is that going to be a more difficult challenge to not allow this to be a distraction because of what did come out in the report?
It's hard to say. The NBA season is challenging anyway, right? I believe our guys are sensitive to this situation. They have a great deal of sympathy for the people that have been affected, but they also know that culture and playing well can help ease some of the pain. It won't take it away, but I know that they know that. And so I think it's going to energize us to, we start tonight at 5 o'clock with our first meeting, and I think that's going to give us a carrot, if you will. If we play well, we play hard, we play the way that we have played and improve, it can ease some of the pain that many people have felt.
Last thing I had, it maybe, you talked about Cam Johnson already being a starter, like he could start, obviously, and he has started. And he's always been trending towards being that. And now with Jay in this situation, how much is this an opportunity for Cam to seize that moment and establish himself as that guy at the 4?
We'll see. Nothing's changed from that standpoint.
Hi, Monty. Dave King with SB Nation, Bright Side of the Sun. Couple of questions real quick. First, to follow up on DA a little bit, Deandre Ayton. You talked how you didn't see a scenario where he wouldn't be here. And you've spent all summer thinking about how are you going to create another playmaking option in the offense, because you talked about that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
How you guys were a little short in that area. Do you have new plans or additional plans for DA offensively this year to take on more of a load?
I wouldn't say it's a total remake of what we do. I think there's some wrinkles in what we do that will allow for some of his talents to show more. But it's not just him. I think, as Dwayne alluded to, Cam and Mikal, their ability to do some things. And it's not just a scoring thing. I think one of the things that I did not do a good job of last year was allow for other guys to grow in their ability to initiate offense, which takes a lot of pressure off Chris, which allows for him to be fresher. So yeah, I think there's some wrinkles that we certainly are going to explore to try to take advantage of DA's ability to score in the mid-range, taking threes from the top of the key, corner threes. Those are things that I've watched him work on this summer. And so to answer your question, we certainly have talked about it a ton this summer.
Okay, my second question is a little more wide-ranging. This is basically your 4th training camp because of the COVID and all that. Do you feel a little more apprehension this time than the others just because of all the drama with the Sarver stuff and then the Jay thing coming out? Does this feel a little different, a little bit more iffy than prior training camps coming in?
No, I don't think so. I think we've had there was pressure when I first got here to try to help this organization move forward. That when I came down the escalator and saw the people waiting at the press conference, I was taken aback by that. I understood the fan base and the expectation here was a bit different. So that tuned me up right away. And then each year as our guys have gotten better, it brought more pressure, it brought more expectations, and I've learned to embrace that in this role. If you don't have those things, you're probably not playing for the thing you should be playing for. Training camps are different, media days are different just because of what happened or transpired the year before, things that happened over the summer. That makes it a bit different, but once I leave here today, it's pretty much back to like the normal grind for us in training camp. We'll have our meeting tonight, we'll set the tone for what we want to do, and we get to get back in the gym and hoop. And I say that with a level of sensitivity, because I don't want to say we're just going back to playing basketball and we're going to forget about the people that have been affected. I want that to be known. And so from that standpoint, yeah, that might be the difference. But as far as basketball, man, our guys are ready to go. And as James said, you guys haven't seen it, but having a long summer like this, you're going to see some bodies that are different, because this is the first normal summer we've had since I've been here. And it has paid dividends for sure. So I think from that standpoint, it's normal, but there is a big difference in what has transpired over the summer.
Hey, Monty, Barry Bloom from Sportico. In this summer that you were talking about, I'm sure you spent a lot of time dissecting what happened at the end of the Dallas series. Do you have any more insight into it than you did at the last time we saw you?
I'm pretty consistent and have been. Like, I just didn't have our guys ready to play. That falls on me. I will never go back on that. When you look at the numbers, you look at the film, you look at the situation, that falls on me. And I'm not saying that to use that fake humility nonsense that, often comes up. That's the only thing I could go back to. We missed shots. They played really well, but everything was in our favor to have a Game 7 on your floor after the season we had. At the same time, I was not going to allow that game to define us. As James said, it was a disappointment, but the season wasn't disappointing. And I had to, flush that, if you will, and remember all the good stuff that we did last year and do my best, along with the staff, to try to improve upon that.
There was some COVID going around. Did that have any manifest effect on what happened at the end of that series?
I can't speak to that, nor am I don't even think I can legally speak on that. It's a medical situation. I can't speak on that. But I will say this, they beat us. They handily beat us in the Game 7. They took care of home court. There were some blowouts. Guys played well. But they beat us. I'm a no excuses, no explanation person. I don't have any excuses about that particular game or that series.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Good to see you, Coach. So this summer was marked more by subtractions than additions, right? JaVale's gone, Jay. What are your biggest concerns about the roster heading into camp? What do you feel like you guys need to add between now and the start of the season? I
mean, I like our team. I've been with these guys for weeks. We've had more guys in our gym this summer than any time since I've been here. It's been a longer summer and a more normal summer. I think the improvement of guys that were already good is going to be something that we can hold on to and get excited about. The possibilities of getting Dario in a role, maybe a different role, having Biz back. Jock is somebody that has been a player that's got our coaches really excited. And when I watch him play, I can see his ability and how he could help us this year. And Damian is just a player that any team around the league would want to have on their squad. And Josh, then we have guys like Dwayne, who's been in our gym for a couple of months. I was surprised that we could even get a guy like him. So we got a bunch of new guys, but we have guys that I feel like are going to give me some tough decisions to make. We'll see how it all plays out. But, yeah, we've lost some guys, but every team does. In the summertime, you're going to lose guys. And at the same time, I'm certainly appreciative of the contributions of the guys that were with us last year, the guys that have moved on. But we do have some guys in our gym that have gotten us excited, and I think our fan base is going to be really excited when they see those guys on the floor. Thank you. Chris Paul.